As of now, we are declaring array of navigation items within the root component layout.blade.php. And then we'll have to pass this array further into header and footer components in order for those components to pass this array further into nav components. So as you can see, even though we're passing this array into header and footer components, those components don't do anything with those navigation items. The only thing that they are doing is they are passing this array further into nav components. So it's not really convenient to pass this array of items through several layers to some descendant components. So what I prefer to do is to extract those navigation items into the configuration so that we have a quick access to those items from within any component. And then we can easily access those navigation items directly within nav component. So let's just create new configuration file within the config folder. Let's call this file the same as the name of the application, watch. And since these configuration files have to return an associative array of configuration options, let's return an array from here and use navItems key, under which we're going to store array of navigation items. So let's grab this array of items from layout.blade.php and paste it under this key. So we don't have to declare this array of items anymore inside the layout component. Let's remove this declaration as well as those navItems props that we are passing into header and footer components. We no longer have to do it. So inside the header component, let's just take this logic and move it directly into nav component, because we're not passing this items array anymore into the nav component, but instead we're going to access it from the nav component by using config helper function. So let's call config helper with the key navItems. That's where we store navigation items. And then we also have to wrap this array into collection object by calling function collect. Let's also rename this variable to be called items, because we are already inside the navigation context. Let's just repeat these steps one more time for navigation items inside the footer. So let's extract this filtering logic from here. We no longer have to pass prop items into nav component. Instead, we're going to apply filtering directly inside the nav component of the footer. In here we are accessing array of navigation items via the configuration and wrap this array into collection object. And finally, let's not forget to rename this variable on items. And after doing all those changes, all navigation items are still showing up properly. And following similar logic, we can apply the same principle to social links. So let's take this array of social links, move it into configuration file. Let's save it under social networks keys. And then we're going to reference this key to get array of navigation links inside the social component of the footer. So we don't have to redeclare this array in here. Let's remove this PHP block and use config helper to get the array of links by reading the configuration value from social networks key, like so. And there we go, all social links are showing up properly. So in this lesson we have extracted declarations of navItems and social links arrays and moved them into configuration so that we can get quick access to navigation items and social links from within any component without the need to pass those arrays from some ancestor components.